Hey everybody, welcome back to Conversation today with me, Rick,
And me, Nain.
and this very young man with the gray hair. He dyed his hair.
I did.
And this is Clay Brasuell.
Hey, very good.
Clay Brasuell.
Every once in a while I get him right.
It's because he practiced beforehand.
So when I was doing my research on you, Clay, I saw a lot of cool things. To me, it was like, ooh, shiny. I want to talk to this guy, and that's when I reached out to you.
Yeah, for a second there, I thought you were going to say play with this guy.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Wait.
Protect yourself.
So one of the things that I saw on there was you did something with MMA. Tell us about that.
Yes.
What was that about?
So I was with an organization called Strikeforce for about 21 years, maybe a little longer.
Strikeforce,
Yeah.
they're still on the market.
Yeah, well, originally we were known as West Coast Productions. It was owned by Quanjinim Ernie Reyes, Tony Thompson, Scott Coker, and a gentleman by the name of Rick. And rapidly that developed into the Strikeforce organization, which was purely owned by Mr. Scott Coker.
Right.
One
Very
of the second, probably the second biggest MMA promoter in the world. Right.
Wow.
Bellator is his organization.
Yeah, now, yeah.
So Strikeforce was bought out. We converted over to MMA, and we did the very first MMA show in California from the Shark Tank with 18,000 approximately and watching and pay-per-view around the world. Wow. And we debuted MMA in California.
Who was on the fight card?
Oh, gosh.
You like that?
I knew you were going to go there with me.
Of course.
We had Javier Thunder Mendez, Francis Footloose Farley from Santa Cruz.
Wow.
To name a couple. And the other guys are going to hate my guts because I can't remember who else was on the card.
Well, that was a while back, though, right? I mean,
Long time
about
ago.
20 years, maybe?
Yeah, almost 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, so we won't hold it against you. That you
Okay,
forgot.
thank you. 'Cause after all,
might.
I am almost 70
We will.
years old. Okay,
We
so
will.
yeah,
68.
68.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you've
68.
been around for a while.
So they were ultimately bought out by the UFC,
Right.
and from that point, I could have continued on for a very brief while with my crew that carried over
Right.
with that Scott brought, but I had needs at home that I needed to address.
What are your thoughts on UFC? Because I know they're pretty much the only game in town other than Bellator, and those guys are barely existing because you can see the
Well, they're
difference.
the biggest name. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're the biggest name,
So-
but they got everything going.
So understand that. Well, first and foremost, let's say Dana. Dana, a lot of people have negative, positive comments about him.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to give him credit because he cultivated the industry from what it was.
Well,
From what
from
it
what it
was,
started
which
off
is
as,
a little
Yeah.
free-for-all, do whatever you want to do to...
Exactly, and he's a brilliant marketer and very good at what he does. So I can't
Right.
criticize him at all. Bellator is a very interesting company. My friend Scott Coker is a brilliant promoter. As far as comparing company to company, Bellator is owned by one of the biggest media groups in the world, far larger than
Really?
anything the UFC.
But you don't
I
hear
didn't know
that.
that, yeah.
No, they don't. They own a huge inventory of daytime television, all the various networks,
Wow.
Paramount, and all those. It's all
Really?
part of the parent company.
I didn't know
They're
that.
worldwide.
Wow.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
Very powerful media company. One of the biggest, probably in
See,
the top
this is the part
five.
that I've never known, because usually you just hear Bellator and say, oh, they're small.
Yeah,
small
no, they're huge. They also are a profitable company.
Oh.
Where UFC has had their struggles, right?
Yeah.
Scott Coker was involved with K1 USA, which we did shows for almost 5 years out of Las Vegas, and at the Bellagio and the Mirage.
I remember those shows.
Well, those created relationships overseas, and so Scott has a huge following among promoters in Japan.
Japan, right.
And now throughout Europe.
Yeah,
So
I've seen a few of those.
Yeah, so now he's he's my friend, he's my brother. He's absolutely a brilliant marketer and one of the best guys you could ever work for.
Wow. So let me pull back just a little bit because you're in that world of martial arts, MMA, and whatever else,
Mm-hmm.
were you ever in martial arts yourself?
Oh, yeah. I've
Because
been
I know you're currently learning from
Right.
one of our good friends, Siju, Johnny
Olivia
Olivia
Salone.
Leave us alone.
Leave us
Leave us alone. I've been real fortunate. I started later in life. I was in my 20s when I started training in Kempo, originally in the Tracy Kempo system, very briefly in the Ed Parker system, and then much later on, over 20 years with the Sullivan, I call it the Sullivan system. And then I've kind of modified it. So I've spent well over 30 years. I have a 6th-degree black belt in Chinese Kempo. But in my system, we never trained in weapons. And I was very, very fortunate through one of my very good friends, Grandmaster Jim Boheson and Bo Boheson, that introduced me to Johnny. And I said, I always wanted to meet this man because he is the real deal when it comes to weapons.
And he's such a character.
Oh yeah.
He's the most generous
Yeah.
martial
Oh,
artist
he
I think I've
definitely
ever
is.
met.
Very,
Yeah,
very-
yeah, yeah.
He keeps giving away weapons as his calling card. This crazy bastard.
The first day I met
Yes.
him, here's a crumbit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Right? Exactly. So, I did a number of years of teaching. I put together a program for the city of San Jose for children and adults with various types of disabilities from wheelchair and that. The whole goal is not a lot of martial artists wanted to line up to do that type of
Right.
one-on-one. Because you're dealing with maybe some kids with Down syndrome and
Right.
that. And if they come out with one technique out of 10 lessons, you succeeded.
Yes.
Because they got a smile on their face,
Oh, of
right?
course. Yeah.
And that's, I think, part of giving back. That's what we were sort of talking about a little earlier, is how do you give back?
Yeah. What do you
from-
do with what you learned?
Exactly, exactly. There are so many...
And you bring a fascinating point because there are schools who kind of cater only to kids that they think they can make something of.
That's right,
And if you're too fat, too tall, too short, or whatever,
that's right.
you're kind of looked on like, we don't really want you here.
Right.
Yeah.
In,
yeah.
in our system, we don't have that. We always say, you have your body type, let's use that as your starting post
That's right.
and get you to move the way you move, not the way we want you to move.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
it makes a big difference
Yeah.
in those people's minds. It's like,
Early on, I didn't learn that lesson in my
really?
career.
You,
I
you
have
did
to
what you were told.
Yeah, but I mean the discipline part of it, the philosophical part of it, I was heavily influenced, although I don't train in his system, my children did, Quadrinem Ernie Reyes
Okay. Wow.
yes.
and Quadrinem Tony Thompson, and then much later Scott Coker, Scott Coker is, I believe, an 8th degree in that system.
Oh wow.
He has been with Ernie since he was, I believe, 7 years old when he moved here from Korea.
No way.
Yeah. So Scott was on the original West Coast demo team with Cynthia Rothrock and George. All those guys traveled all over the continental United States, Thailand, all
Dude,
over.
she was one of those
That is
crushes that
so
you had.
hot.
You were in the martial arts,
yeah.
she was a crush.
Oh, yeah.
I
of course.
still have a crush on her.
That doesn't go away.
No, Cynthia.
No,
Cynthia
she
is
looks great,
an
too.
incredible woman, an incredible martial artist.
Yes.
So he has a compassion. He never turned away people in his system.
And he passed that on to you.
This by being a part of their organization.
Oh, that's
you
so
know.
cool.
That's important to me because
Very.
we try not to do. We try to do the same way. We want to keep everybody who wants to be there.
Right.
Unless you come and ask me, hey, how do I get out of handcuffs? All the cops picking them on me. Then I'm going to say no.
I told you I would only do that one time.
Yeah.
It was like,
It was a just in case.
it was a
Just in
justifiable
case.
case. San Francisco PD.
Well, I mean, growing up when you were first starting your martial arts.
Yes.
I mean, and I think we all had this. He had it. We have that ego that, I'm going to learn martial arts. I'm going to be a badass, and I'm going to be able to do these things. I'm going to beat people up.
Yeah.
And
Dude, he was in his 20s. That's
So,
like the
but I got to be
prime
honest
time.
with you. You said something earlier today that struck right to the core,
Ooh.
and that was the word fear. I was there. And after a number of years of training, that fear went away. I had a self-confidence. Not that I wanted to go out.
Oh, no.
I was told a long time ago the best black belt is one that can determine a situation is going to turn bad, and they walk the other way.
Right.
right? The object is
said, yeah.
the object is not to hurt people. The object is to, if you have no other choice, defend yourself or your loved ones. You know, otherwise walk away.
Yes. Yes. The
Yeah.
ego
It's funny, folks, because we just had a training thing here earlier today, and that's what they're kind of referencing back and forth somewhat. And you're right. You know, one of the things that Naeem brought up throughout his session is that
felt like
you
an
can walk away.
interrogation.
Yeah.
Interrogation.
You did really well. We're all getting transcripts of that, by the way.
Yeah. But the way the way he talked about it was, if you can get away from it, just walk away,
just walk
or
away.
avoid it. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that is something that I've seen other schools say, no, get in there and do,
Yeah,
Cobra
Cobra
Kai.
Kai.
Yeah,
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai mentality is like, no, go in there, destroy, he's your enemy, show no mercy. Ah.
These military approaches, I just have such a problem with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because there's also a spiritual side. I think when you spend, not necessarily 30 years, for me, I always say there are those people that are born athletic, and there are those like me that live a lifetime to be athletic, right?
I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I saw you perform. No, you were born an athlete. Yeah. So I'm not going
You don't have to kiss his ass. You're already on the show.
No, and
You're already here.
And this guy over here,
See, Joe, yeah.
Joe Johnny, is an incredible athlete. But I also see it, because I still work as a lead inspector for the California Amateur Mixed Martial Arts Organization.
cool. Oh, really?
I do about, until COVID, we were doing, 150, 200 fights a year.
What does the inspector do?
We oversee the entire operation of the show. So the referees are part of our team, the doctors part of our team, the judges are part of our team, and we make sure that the mandate by the state legislature here in California is fulfilled regarding drug testing, urine testing.
Wow, you guys are the standard.
You're that
Yeah,
guy.
we're the police force,
Yeah,
if you
you're
will,
that guy.
right?
Yeah. the
And then I
officials.
also am an inspector for the California Athletic Commission. So I do the professional fights, also
So
boxing.
what's the
MMA,
craziest
and so
thing
on.
that you inspected that shouldn't have been there, or
that didn't pass.
If I told you that, I'd have to kill you.
that's
No.
okay. I'm in.
No, you know what?
I'm willing to sacrifice just to learn.
I gotta be honest with you. We live in probably the leading state in the United States when it comes to mixed martial arts or boxing or any of the those sports. We lead the nation. Just like we have led the nation in martial arts for generations,
Right.
we lead it in the way the California Athletic Commission regulates.
In the standards, yeah.
Yeah, the standards. Other states copy us.
Oh,
Other
cool.
countries copy us. And because the fighter is always first,
Oh,
not the
pretty cool.
promoter.
Right. Oh,
We're
yeah.
there to protect the fighter, and in the amateurs especially. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that doesn't come across when you're watching it on TV, though.
No, it doesn't. But there are inspectors on each side of the cage, and then there's inspectors in the back. So when we go into the ring in between, what I'm looking for signs of, if the fighter is vomiting in between rounds or something.
Yeah,
It could be
they'll show that,
nerves,
yeah.
but it could also be damage.
Right.
We're looking for eye shock, where they're just kind of like in a stun. If we feel in any way, not that we're doctors, but if we feel in any way that the fighter is in trauma in some
Right.
way, then I will usually either signal directly to the fight doctor or to the referee to ask
To
the
look,
fight doctor
yeah.
to inspect him.
Right, wow.
That's what my job is. And then we keep our eyes on him for the rest of the fight.
And that's amazing because you never see that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're watching it on video on the screen, it's like, oh, these guys are just going at it until they
So
actually
yeah,
call the
somebody
doctor
wins or
No,
somebody.
I got to be honest with you. I've been involved in that part of it since we sold Strikeforce. So 13 years with Camo, and unfortunately because of COVID, only 2 years now with the State Athletic Commission. But we watch everything really closely, and we never put our fighters at risk, especially amateurs.
No, yeah, because
Yeah.
What do you think of the fighters? What do you,
So I'll tell you, this
is gonna be the fun
So
part.
I got to be honest. I love them all, but my preference is I love California Athletic Commission. We're dealing with young people that range from the guy that wants to try it once
Ooh.
to the guy that wants to climb the ladder and eventually go to UFC or go to Bellator or maybe fight outside
And
of
that's
the
where
U.S.
they go to. They go to camo.
Yeah, they have to get their wings through us first, and then the state will consider issuing them a professional fight license.
What are the considerations?
They have to fight so many fights,
Uh-huh.
and they have to have they go through their medical exams and that to make sure that they haven't run into too many issues.
Yeah, compounded.
Yeah, so the state looks very closely at that.
Wow.
And then before every fight, they have a doctor's inspection, and they're checking them for, issues, maybe been hit in the head too much, or
Wow.
body rashes, things like
Right.
that could be
Things
transmitted.
that would be indicated.
Oh,
Exactly.
indicators of something.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that they go into, and I'll be honest, that part of it I don't really get into. That's something that in Sacramento they go through.
This is all very fascinating because
Wow.
this is part of the MMA stuff or the fight world
That
that
nobody
you don't
sees.
No.
see or ever
Right.
hear about. This is the first I've ever heard
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
Oh,
you
yeah.
actually have to go through a whole process
The intricacy.
before you can get into that ring to.
We test for we do on the amateurs, we now do urine tests prior to a fight.
Right.
Would take samples. And then also for hydration. Because hydration has become a major thing in California, is one of the leading states when it comes to hydration issues with fighters.
Wow.
And so
Is that because they're fasting and trying to get weight and all that stuff?
yeah,
and
the,
things?
the old method of cutting weight, putting plastic bags on, make you go run around the track 36 times to lose 3 pounds, or peeing and spitting,
Right.
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 which is an old boxing thing, right? The state
Dried
is
mushrooms.
yeah, dried mushrooms. Yeah. The problem becomes is through dehydration, you can have strokes, you can have brain
Yeah.
damage. The other thing that we watch for and we warn them is that a lot of people like to drink the energy drinks and that before.
Oh, yeah,
So you
yeah.
got a young kid that suddenly has 150, on their blood pressure. And so, we have to get them back down again. We make sure
hypertension,
everything has
yeah.
to work.
Right.
Because you don't want a
No
young
Red Bull
person
for you.
dropping dead. No Red Bull for you.
That's right. No Red Bull for you. Wow.
Exactly,
Hey,
exactly.
that's deep. I
So we
mean,
do fights
yeah.
all over California,
Uh-huh.
and I mainly work in the north, so it could be anywhere from Bakersfield to the Oregon border.
Now, does any of the stuff that you do apply to the people who do smokers?
Smokers are illegal in California.
I know, but that's why.
And,
hence the question.
So, okay,
know.
so for my friends that own gyms out there, don't ever invite me to a smoker because I am obligated as
Commission.
as an employee of the state of California to report it. And I have no choice. It would be my luck that the first time I go to one, somebody dies.
Right.
And I've been close to that before in a legitimate fight. And it's not where I want to be.
what's a smoker?
An illegal fight that runs usually in a gym that they sell tickets to come in. They maybe barbecue some steaks or hamburgers or hot dogs, sell beer, all illegal. And there's no doctors present,
there-
no
there's
ambulance present.
Yeah, there's nobody who's
Yeah.
monitoring it at
Right.
all.
At all.
Underground.
And it's just, you're dealing with talents today that are so good. I mean, when MMA first started in California, you had a guy that might be a striker,
Right.
or you might have a guy that was good at grappling, right? But you didn't
These
have
days.
too many that were good at both.
Right. And
Today,
now it's all over the place.
the guys out there, even in the amateur,
Yeah.
they're lethal.
Cool.
They're really lethal,
Yeah, and if you don't regulate that,
Oh, you got it. Somebody will die.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in those smokers, that is what happens.
That is what
There's
happens.
a lot of people who get hurt
Oh, yeah.
really badly, and some do die.
Yeah.
And that's why
We've been lucky in California because we're so strict.
Uh-huh.
But we had some stuff in the East Coast a
Right.
few years ago where,
Really?
yeah,
I know they have a lot of it in Nevada.
Nevada. Yeah,
That's a big place for them to go.
big time. Yeah.
Well, all the gambling and everything.
Well, I've known a couple of fighters who said, yeah, we're going to do a smoker out there, blah, blah, blah. I was like,
Yeah.
cool, what is that? And then they say exactly, and they're like, oh, so there's no real referees or anything? Well, they have a
Yeah.
referee, but.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's the extent of it.
Yeah,
That's all.
exactly. So, you know, what I'm
Terrible
telling you
names.
about my
crazy.
experience as a inspector is that it's not the official opinion, of course, of California State Athletic Commission. It's just my
Disclaimer.
own. Yeah, yeah. This is called a disclosure. I can't say enough good things about our commission.
Right.
There's
No,
some people
'cause-
that might argue with me over
Yeah.
that, but I think that we do a good job. We take care of our fighters.
Overall, that's your goal. You said, giving back.
Yeah.
What better way than to
Yeah.
protect these young people so they can have a career
Sure.
later on?
Well, you know, with the amateurs, you look at in boxing when we were kids, more you and me. You weren't
no,
born yet. You
yeah.
weren't born yet.
He-
You know, that was a way out of the ghetto.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah,
boxing
well,
and that.
You know,
right?
it's interesting that you bring that up because we had one guy that we interviewed, and his name is Fernando Solis.
Oh, yeah.
And if you ever get a chance, watch that episode. It's called "One in One 101 House."
Yeah.
And he's this Latin kid. He learned to box by peer pressure of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they instead of gloves, they used to wear socks.
Socks.
And he said, "Yeah, luckily I missed that part of it."
Yeah, he missed that
Yeah,
generation.
he goes, but the generation before me, it was socks so they won't hurt themselves.
Yeah.
With gloves,
Isn't
with
that
socks.
amazing?
Yeah, I'm like, but this is how they grew up. They were
yeah.
they were just that's how they
Yeah.
they learned. I mean, now he teaches boxing. He's incredible. Watch the video.
Phenomenal teacher.
I will.
That's your
No,
shameless
really.
plug,
Yeah.
Fernando.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
very
there
much.
you
You're
go.
welcome.